From the CPR Performance Studio, this is OpenAir 102.3 FM Denver Boulder, 88.3 in Fort Collins. I'm Alicia Sweeney, joined in the studio today with Sound of Ceres for an OpenAir session. Karen and Ryan Hover are the married duo behind the new Fort Collins band, Sound of Ceres. The two once recorded and performed as Candy Claus. And they recruited members of Texas Pop Collective, the Polyphonic Spree, Brooklyn Indie Rockers, The Drums, for this new project. Sound of Ceres has released their debut album, Nostalgia for Infinity, and the group make no secret of the outer space influences on the record. The liner notes mention 5 orbits that characterize the album's ethereal, blissful songs. Sound of Ceres will head to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest this month, but first we welcome them into the CPR Performance Studio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So let's start things off. Play us a song. What will you begin with today?
This song is called Ember Age.
Sound of Ceres in the CPR Performance Studio, taking us into outer space with that song Ember Age on their new record, Nostalgia for Infinity. In the studio today, we have the married duo Karen and Ryan Hover and their touring member Derrick Bozich. Now, you guys have performed as Candy Claws for several years and released 3 albums as such. How did you decide to switch gears for this new project?
I think we felt the Candy Claws trilogy of albums was a complete arc as far as where we wanted the music of that band to go. And I kind of like having things complete like that as far as a band's discography. And we took a couple of years off from music. And then when we got married, we decided just to start a project, just the two of us, and take it in a little more electronic direction. And then we started collaborating with some other bands, and it felt like enough new things were happening that it warranted a new name also. And it was partly just to confuse everyone also, which turned out to happen. Yeah.
Now, the music of this album is said to work in 5 orbits in the liner notes. I want to hear exactly what that means to you.
So it's just the different ways that you can engage in the songs. The first orbit, it'll be the outer orbit. Like if you approach a solar system, the outer orbit's the first one that you'll encounter. And that's just the sound of the music itself. Not even the meaning of the words yet. It's just the sound of, the tones of the instruments, the way the words sound and not what they mean. So the very first encounter that you have with the music, just the audio. And then as you go deeper, like further into the orbits, you get more into the meaning of the lyrics and then what those could be a metaphor for, and then how those tie into different literary works that inspired us. And then the very innermost orbit is finally like what you yourself get out of the entire experience of, how far you wanted to dig into all the different meanings. And everyone's experience with the album is different. No one, like even Karen, is going to hear it differently than I hear it, just because of all of the history that we each bring to a listening experience. So that's kind of what the orbits mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Karen, I want to hear from you. Did you write all the lyrics for the songs, and what was the experience like?
I wrote some of the lyrics. It was fun. We just kind of like look up old storybooks and kind of like mash the words together and just to create kind of, otherworldly sentences that don't really make sense. That's always been kind of fun for us in our lyrics, just to like create crazy words and stuff like that. So yeah, it was fun to write some lyrics and record them.
Well, let's hear another song from Nostalgia for Infinity. This one's called Hand of Winter. It's Sound of Ceres in the CPR Performance Studio. Sound of Ceres join us in the CPR Performance Studio, Hand of Winter from the record Nostalgia for Infinity. Now paint the picture for us. Karen and Ryan, you wrote the songs together, and then you got all these folks to collaborate with you, members of Polyphonic Spree, the drums, the Apples, and Stereo. How did they come about?
We had a big fan in the Apples and Stereo who liked the Candy Claus records, and he kind of got the rest of the band into our music before we even knew. And Karen, would you like to?
Yeah, they just kept adding people to the collaboration, which is really cool. Ben, one of our Apples members, kept saying, "Is it okay if we add one more Apple to the collaboration?" And the last Apple was Robert Schneider, which is like the most well-known. It's his project, the Apples and Stereo. So they kind of said, "Is it okay if Robert Schneider helps also?" And we're like, of course he can help. So yeah, that was kind of just fun, just kind of really friendly. The same with Jacob of the drums. It was just like, kind of like, you help us with our stuff, we'll help you with your stuff. Just like really friendly and yeah, really great.
Yeah, and it's been really casual. We send them almost complete mixes of the songs, and they would just send a whole bunch of parts back over online of what they thought, and then I would go back and edit them into, something that I thought worked for the song, and it ended up being very different from the album we thought we were making, which is really neat. They were hearing the songs in totally different ways than we were, and we like how it turned out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can definitely, when I listen to it, I feel like sometimes I can pick out parts that Robert Schneider did just because I'm so used to his stamp of music throughout the years and everything. What a neat collaboration. So it was Ben Phelan, who was a Candy Claus fan, and then started working with you.
Yeah, it just kind of happens in weird ways. The music world is sometimes smaller than you think it is. So
now tell me about translating these songs live now, because you have these people collaborating, and then it's you as a duo, and then you bring in a guitarist to tour with you. How do their instruments make it into the live performance, or their contributions?
So most of what other people contributed were synthesizer parts, and so we just have those in like a backing track kind of setup that we use whenever we're touring in near their towns that they live in. They'll actually join us on stage and play live, but most of the time you'll hear their parts just in our backing tracks.
So with South by Southwest coming up, anybody going to join you on stage?
No one's joining us at South by. When we're out east in Kentucky and Indiana, we're joined by Ben. And then on the East Coast for about a week, we're joined by Jacob Graham of the drums. So yeah, it'll be fun. We just have to get further east before we can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about going to South by Southwest this year. First of all, Candy Claus has played it in the past, right?
That's right, yeah.
As the official showcase or unofficial?
Yeah, we did 2 years official. So this will be Sound of Ceres' first year official.
And so you've learned a little bit over the last couple of years. Are you going in there with any expectations, or?
Just expecting chaos, pretty much.
Chaos, maybe hopefully some free beer, free food, a lot of good times.
Yeah. It's also a great place to meet people. We've met a lot of our kind of best band friends down there that we're in touch with still. But yeah, it's pretty chaotic in a good way, I think. There's just music everywhere, people everywhere. I think that's how it's supposed to be. So.
I hope you find a good parking spot, too.
Yeah.
That won't happen.
Day of show. And you're playing 3 shows while you're out there, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have one last song for us. It's Dagger Only Run. And this is the final song on the record?
That's right, yeah.
Sound of Ceres join us in the CPR Performance Studio.
play behind the glass, inside the case. I got it to stay. I found every way beyond the time, below the caves. I hold your shade. I got it to stay. I saw your mind. It looked like your face. Two names that begin the same. Two hands that feel in new ways. One time they're under the arc line. All time was there in one place. Only run, only dark stone and stay, spins and play behind the glass, inside the cage. I hold your shade. I got it to stay. I saw your mind. It looked like your face. Two names that begin the same. Two hands that feel in new waves. One time they're under the arc line. All time was there in one place.
Sound of Ceres in the CPR Performance Studio from the record Nostalgia for Infinity. So glad you guys had a chance to stop by today.
Thank you so
thanks
much for
having
having us.
Yeah.
This has been another open air session at 102.3 in Denver, 88.3 in Fort Collins. I'm Alicia Sweeney, audio engineer, Dave Fender, Irvin Coffey on cameras. To find out more about open air sessions, video, podcasts, visit openaircpr.org.